Is private equity really as bad as everyone says? If you spend enough time reading business headlines, scrolling LinkedIn, or talking to other business owners, you'll hear the same story over and over again. Private equity buys a company, employees get fired, costs get cut, customers get frustrated, the business gets worse, and the new owners get rich. So naturally, a lot of owners looking to exit their businesses come to me with a pretty strong opinion. Nick, I'd never sell to private equity. And I understand why, because some of those stories are true. But here's the problem. Lumping all private equity firms together is like saying you'll never see a doctor because someone told you they had a bad experience with one. The reality is much more nuanced. And if you're planning to sell your business in the next 1 to 5 years, understanding what private equity is really like could be a big difference maker in how successful your exit is. Why? Because one of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make is eliminating entire categories of buyers before they really understand how those buyers operate. And that dramatically reduces their options. So today, I want to pull back the curtain and reveal that there are actually 3 different types of private equity firms. And while some deserve their bad reputation, others absolutely don't. Before we get into it though, if you're thinking about selling your business in the next few years, then one of the first things we do inside pre-sale prep is help owners like you understand how buyers think. Not how Google or ChatGPT says they think, how real buyers actually evaluate businesses. Because the more you understand the buyer's perspective, the more leverage you'll have throughout the entire process. If you'd like help with that, there's a link below the video where you can schedule a call. All right, let's get into the first category of private equity firms, the financial engineers. This is the group most people are talking about when they criticize private equity. These firms are often highly sophisticated, financially speaking. They're good with capital structures, debt, financial modeling, tax strategies, transaction engineering. But in many cases, that's where their expertise ends, because many of the people running these firms have spent their entire careers behind a desk in investment banking, consulting, Wall Street, corporate finance, and so on. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But there's a real difference between analyzing a business in spreadsheets and actually running one. When people lack that operating experience, they can make decisions that sound brilliant in a boardroom, but are completely irrational in the real world. And those are often the stories that make headlines. The aggressive cost cutting, the strange strategic pivots, the short-sighted thinking that sacrifices long-term success for quick gains. Now, to be fair, not every financial engineering firm behaves this way. But if you've heard horror stories about private equity, there's a good chance this is the category people are referring to. And here's something interesting. Most business owners assume these firms will pay them the most, but that's not always true, because sometimes their models are so financially driven that they're actually less flexible than other buyers. Everything has to fit their rigid models. And if it doesn't, they'll walk away. All right, so now let's look at our second category of private equity firm, operationally focused private equity. These firms tend to look very different. Many of the founders have actually built, run, and scaled businesses. They've lived through a lot of the same challenges you're probably dealing with right now. And because of that, they evaluate opportunities very differently. Instead of immediately asking, how much can we cut? They're asking, how much better can this business become? They're looking for operational leverage, better systems, better leadership, better pricing, better execution. So in many cases, these firms view themselves as partners rather than financial engineers. Now, don't misunderstand me. They're not charities. They're still investors trying to generate returns. But the way they create those returns is often completely different to the financial engineer type firms. They believe value is built by improving businesses, not just restructuring balance sheets. Which is probably why I've met plenty of owners who sold to one of those groups and came out the other side saying it was one of the best decisions they ever made. In fact, even if one of these firms doesn't have any experience buying and running a company in your particular industry before, they're still well worth considering. Here's a story from one of the companies that we bought in my private equity firm. After acquiring the company, we had a general manager who had spent his entire career in that industry. He knew the terminology, knew the players, knew exactly how things were supposed to be done. Or at least he thought he did. Then eventually he moved on, and we hired someone with strong operational experience but no direct industry background. And the results weren't close. The new leader dramatically outperformed the old one. Why? Because he wasn't carrying years of assumptions about how things had always been done. He questioned everything, improved systems, improved accountability, improved execution, and the result was the business got significantly better. That experience changed how I think about expertise. Industry knowledge matters, yes, but operational excellence often matters more, and that's exactly why operationally focused private equity firms can be such attractive buyers. Now, if you're planning to sell in the next few years and you want to understand how to find the buyers who are the best fit for your business, Click the link below and schedule a no-cost call. We'll walk through your business together, talk about what buyers would likely see when they evaluate you, and identify anything that might be working against you before you ever go to market. All right, let's talk about the third and final type of private equity firm: the firms that aspire to financial engineering. This is the third category, and in some ways the most interesting one. Many of these firms began with real operating roots. The founders were operators. They built their reputation helping companies grow and improve. They genuinely created value the old-fashioned way. Then something happened. They got bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually the fund size got large enough that the identity of the firm started to change. This happens because the larger the fund, the harder it is to maintain the same hands-on operational approach, simply because of scale. When you're managing $1 billion, your economics change, your incentives change, and your priorities tend to follow. And maybe you can understand what I'm saying, because with many of the business owners I meet, often one of the reasons they started their own companies is because the bigger players in their industries had lost their way because of how big they got. They get to a certain size and become out of touch with what originally made them great. And so if that describes you too, then if you go with one of these PE firms, there's often going to be a culture mismatch from day one. How can you identify these firms? Well, this isn't a hard rule, but I've noticed a pattern over the years. Once PE funds start reaching $500 million or $1 billion mark, that's usually when the dynamics begin to shift. That's why, in my opinion, the most interesting private equity firms in the market sit around the $100 to $250 million fund range. They're large enough to have real resources and infrastructure, but small enough to stay operationally involved and genuinely care about what happens to your company after the deal closes. And this is where a lot of business owners can get surprised, because they assume bigger automatically means better. Bigger fund, bigger reputation, bigger office must be a better buyer, when the opposite is often true. Some of the most thoughtful buyers I've come across weren't running billion-dollar funds. They were running smaller, focused operations with deep expertise and a genuine commitment to building better businesses. Here's the lesson in all of this. When you're evaluating potential buyers, stop focusing so much on the valuation multiple. I know that's not the answer most owners want to hear, but too many people obsess over the number on the offer sheet while ignoring who is writing the check. The firm's culture, their post-close expectations, their long-term strategy, what kind of partner they'll actually be once the ink gets dry. Put simply, the highest offer isn't always the best offer. Some of the most disappointed sellers I've ever met took the highest bid and did not like where the buyer ended up taking their business. And some of the happiest sellers I met took a different offer because the fit was better. Though of course, sometimes the highest offer really is the best offer. All I'm saying is don't purely focus on the headline number. It's all about you and your business and who you think would be the best custodian for your business that you put so much of your time and energy into building. So to sum up today's video, private equity isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool. Some firms create enormous value. Some destroy it. Most fall somewhere in between. The real question was never, is private equity bad? The real question is, what kind of firm are you talking to, and which one is actually the right fit for your goals? Now, if you're serious about selling your business in the next 1 to 5 years, don't wait until you're in the middle of a deal to start figuring this stuff out. Understanding buyer psychology, knowing which kinds of buyers are the right fit, and knowing what changes will make your business more attractive, that's the kind of preparation that can greatly change your outcome. The goal isn't to find a buyer. The goal is to build a business that many different buyers want. Because when that happens, your leverage changes, your valuation changes, and your options change. So click the link below this video and schedule a no-cost consultation call. We'll walk through where your business stands today, identify any potential deal killers, and help you understand what buyers are likely to see when they evaluate your company. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.